going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Tuesday Track Talk, episode number 70 of the Tuesday Track Talk. I'm your tire changer, Cam.
I'm your Jackman Cal.
And I'm your gas man, Kim.
We are the Three Stones Pit Crew. Coming up onto a big weekend of racing as the NASCAR season will be kicking off. The regular season will be kicking off this weekend with the big one, the Daytona 500. But we'll also be talking about a little bit of sprint car racing from Volusia. We got some news to cover and some discussion I think we got to have from some news that came out today as we record here on Monday about short track racing,
Yep.
which, forewarning, may get a little heated, especially from yours truly. But
Fair
before we dive into that, what's been going on, fellas, since we last chatted with each other?
It's cold again.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to snow. So we're in it right now.
I know about
That's
you
all on
boys.
you.
I know about you boys, but I'm feeling well rested after that 4-hour snoozer Super Bowl yesterday. So that was a snoozer. So well rested after that, and what a fantastic sport. Most sports have their biggest event at the end of the year. You could argue NASCAR starting off the season, biggest event of the year, first one. Yeah, we're rocked up and ready to roll. So, yeah, about to lock into that grind here starting Sunday.
37 out of 38 weeks we'll have NASCAR racing, at least NASCAR Cup racing.
Yep.
And great content for the podcast too. So
Our bread and butter,
correct.
as I've always said. So,
Yep.
nope,
You guys
I'm
got
excited.
You guys thought about any fantasy strategies? What are you guys gonna do this year?
Well,
How are you approaching it this year?
so Daytona, I
5
approach it
hammers
just
right out of the bat.
Well, I approach Daytona just like every other driver approaches Daytona, especially Blaney. It's checkers or wreckers.
Yeah, so you throwing
I'm
you
throwing
you
5 super
you
speedway hammers. Bam, right out of the gate.
Bubba Blaney LaJoy. That's your boy. He mixes it
Definitely
up in
not
a
LaJoy. Although I am
uh
wearing a LaJoy shirt, but that's because that's now a good work shirt.
spin house.
Honestly,
How much weight do you
Logano,
give up? How
Hamlin.
much? Yeah, how much weight do you give a past winner? Stendrick?
I've got a dark horse up my sleeve that
Are you
How
gonna
much weight
are
do
you
you
gonna
give to a manufacturer?
I
also
did
Dylan?
rewatch. I rewatched the last year's running of the 500 on Sunday before the game, so I've got some thoughts.
Perfect. So you have data that's useless, but good.
Correct.
Good.
Do
I'm
you
kicking off the analysis or paralysis by analysis early here.
do you pick somebody that's gonna go out there and lead laps, or are you gonna pick somebody like Hamlin who just pulls out of the draft and rides around in the back?
The only lap that matters here in fantasy is the last one,
Okay.
because that's where the pay window is open as far as points go.
All
Yeah, we'll
right.
see on Sunday. We'll talk on Sunday.
All right. So, since we're talking about racing, should we dive into a little bit more of it here while we're at it?
Might as well.
So I'm assuming I was probably the only one that really watched the sprint cars at Volusia.
That'd be correct.
So I'll cover a glimpse of this. Um, I tell you what, fellas, I don't know if this is a true rivalry or if this was just a made up one, but I'm enjoying this to its fullest extent. Bell versus Larson in sprint cars. When the two of them get together in a sprint car, it's just magic. It truly is.
They're both solid.
Yeah. I mean, you saw a little bit of it at the Chili Bowl for the little bit that they were racing together. Um, but Christopher Bell showed that he did not have any rust hopping back into a sprint car. Say that much.
Yep.
I'll
Uh,
say I don't have a ton of money, but the little that I do, I have would slip Papa Joe a couple bucks there just as a thank you for lifting that restriction, because that's been lifted for only a short amount of time and already blessed us with Bell and Gibbs and those guys at the Chili Bowl, and now hasn't taken long for Bell to find himself in a wing seat and find himself up front.
Yep. So, um, just a quick recap of it. So Carson Macedo ended up winning night 1. Christian Bell won night 2. Kyle Larson won night 3 and 4 for the week. Qualifying was important. It was really tough to track position was huge. You kind of needed to start up front in order to be up front and to stay up front. The leaders could kind of swap amongst each other. The mid pack could kind of swap amongst each other. You didn't really see that hard charger by any means. So qualifying was definitely important. Um, and you saw a little bit of why qualifying was important from Kyle Larson and Paul Silva doing Paul Silva things, especially with the unfinished wing on the car.
Yeah,
So what's your guys' thought with that?
it's a game.
It's a game.
I mean, I don't know. I don't. Maybe there is something to it. I don't know. To me, it's funny because like it could be something massive. It could be nothing. We don't know.
So I watched a video from Dirt Tracker. Great daily updates when it comes to dirt racing, also, by the way. He kind of explained the wing of it, but he didn't really explain why it was not finished. So, and I knew a little bit of this. They kind of have qualifying wings where the bot or the wing bubble, I guess I think it's not the technical term, but the wing body of it,
Yep.
is thinner for qualifying, especially when it's in clean air, to reduce drag in the car. Obviously,
Yep.
quicker for qualifying. Couple other things that Larson did, especially or Silva did, especially on that unfinished wing. On the right side of the car, the wing or the side panel, the wing panel had no brackets on the top of it, whereas the race wing had brackets on top. So it cut a
Okay.
little bit of drag there. It was also mounted a little bit lower than what the race wing was. The side panels, which is all legal. It's all 100% legal. It's in the World of Outlaws rulebook.
He's playing
Mine
chess, everybody's playing checkers.
correct.
And whether there
So,
is something to it or not, he's got everybody else's gears turning.
yep. Why is it unfinished? I think Kellen, you put it in a good way. It's smoke and mirrors.
Yep. Turn your header pipes up. Does it really matter?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
But you know what? There's a rule against it now.
Yep. Good Lord.
So ultimately I don't think the finished wing had any advantage or unfinished wing had any advantage, but it's a hell of a conversation
It looked cool.
nonetheless. Yeah.
The silver looked cool.
I tell you what, I would not be opposed to an all silver race car like that. It's a good Knoxville Nationals car.
Yep.
So, um, also Volusia is just badass fast. Fastest half mile in the dirt half mile in the country, I believe.
Yeah, that place puts on good racing, whether it's a sprint car
Late
or
model.
late models or even the modifieds put on great
Yep.
shows too. That track it always has great racing.
Yep. So, ultimately though, Larson and Silva ends up winning first. Larson and Silva got their first small gator, which that's just from winning one of the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday races. They got one of the small gators.
Yep.
And then they got two big gators because they won the Saturday night race and they won the championship.
Yep.
So they got the two big gators coming out of Volusia as well. So firsts for both of them.
Absolutely.
So crossed one off of the checklist. I don't know if you heard the interview with Larson as well. Matt Weaver did an interview with Larson talking about how do him and Paul Silva kind of figure out what they're going to run throughout the year. And Larson pretty much said, I almost never talk to him on the phone. It's all like one or two texts. I text him at the beginning of the year, like my basic schedule on what I want to do. And I just kind of bank on him showing up with a car and a trailer, and he banks on me showing up with a race suit.
Yep.
So,
quite the combo.
yeah. So they just kind of bank on each other. They show up to races and yeah, go from there.
Show up, take the money, and run.
Pretty much. So undoubtedly one of the best duos in racing as a whole, not just dirt racing, but racing as a whole. So
Yeah, for sure.
pretty cool. So no, just a quick recap on Volusia. They're still continuing their Gator Nationals, their dirt car Gator Nationals as we speak. The late models take over this week and the modifieds take over this week as well, which is the last week of it. USAC is also running with them on Monday and Tuesday. So
Great
Yeah.
track on the World Outlaws game as well.
I can imagine.
Yep.
3 and 4 is hard as shit, but
Yep.
that wall right by the finish line will grab you.
Yeah, it narrows up in a hurry.
So, update with that. For those that did watch, Bill Baylog did end up going to, I shouldn't watch my words here. He did need to get checked out at the hospital, on Saturday night, just to get his ankle looked at. Soft tissue damage from what I saw, but he is all in well. So,
Yep. Yes, for sure.
that is Volusia and the Sprint Car Gator Nationals there. That was kind of all I had for that. Just kind of cool to watch that. I'm kind of figuring out what's big and what's racing and all that as I continue to grow my dirt repertoire. So
Yeah, for sure.
all right. Do we want to hit on news before we really dive into the big conversation here?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
All right. So how do we want to split this up?
I'll take the first couple
Because
here.
I just kind of threw stuff in.
Yeah, I'll take the first three. So, kind of looking at the NASCAR side of things, the Xfinity series more in particular, Xfinity announces they will not return as the title sponsor for the series next year. But they will be the sponsor of the fastest lap for each of the top three series, which now pays a point as well. So, you can earn a point if you turn the fastest lap in the course of the race. So, not a title sponsor, but fastest lap sponsor. The quickest chicken, Chase Randall, will race High Limit in 2025. So High Limit adds another guy to their full-time team. And then Toyota Racing Development announced their driver lineup, and they've got, the repertoire of guys they have in all different disciplines is all over the place.
I've got the list that I can rattle off here.
Perfect.
Jade Avedissian, Brett Cruz, Jacob Denny, Tyler Gonzalez, Taylor Gray, Corey Heim, Buddy Colford, Cannon McIntosh, Kiko Porto, Isabel Robusto, Gio Ruggiero, William Swalach, Gresham Wagner, and Winston Workman.
So
they're very vast, different disciplines.
Their driver development program covers a lot of different disciplines.
Cam, you looked like you wanted to bring up a point for the fastest lap portion of it.
I was going to just say how do you say her name? Advisian?
Jade Avedissian.
She had a decent run in late model. Was it last night? P2? I think, maybe, but
yeah.
We double check here for you.
Where was that?
Last night with the old Jones debacle.
No, that was a little bit back.
Let me do it this way.
Where was
the old
that?
My Race Pass and see what that says.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was gonna say Xfinity giving up the old entitlement sponsor kind of opens the door for us to get in there.
Yep. I wrote the check already. You guys just didn't know.
Yeah?
And the best part was it wasn't my check either, so I'm not
Oh
worried about it.
God.
But
Sorry, we can move on.
yep. Next up.
All right. Let me jump back over my spreadsheet here then. Cam, how do you want to do this? You want to take the next 2 or 3, or what do you want to do?
You take the next 2 or 3. I'll clean up the end.
All right, I'll take the next 3. DGM Racing and Jesse Uji Motorsports have announced a strategic alliance in the Xfinity Series starting this year. Basically, I'm sure they're just going to share notes, setups, stuff like that.
Yep.
So, this one I kind of found interesting. So this is from Adam Stern of the Sports Business Journal. NASCAR could sell an equity stake in its company for the first time in the coming years. Obviously, NASCAR has been owned and operated by the France family since its inception. So it would be in the coming years. Phelps states that the sport needs to pick up the pace on global expansion. And I couldn't read the full article because I'm not subscribed to the Sports Business Journal to see what else they had to write about. But that was from the little snippet that Adam had posted. So, we were talking about, obviously, with this whole lawsuit thing about monopoly and being run by one and only the France family and everything like that. So, little conversation stir there.
Yeah, take it for what you think it's worth.
Yep. Finally, Jeff Earnhardt will be running part-time again for Sam Hunt Racing in 2025. His first race will be the Talladega race.
Back in the seat.
Yep.
And I'll clean her up here. Nice Motorsports announced Christian Rose is going to step down to a part-time ride with some sponsorship changes. So he will step down, and then if I remember right, is it Bailey Curry is filling in?
Yep.
Yeah.
So a little last minute change there. Unfortunate that happened. Rose was supposed to run full time, so
Yep.
sucks that happened. And then some breaking news here. Christopher Bell is going to run the Clyde Hart Memorial ASA Stars race tomorrow night. So that will be throw a big name into that race, to say the least. And in an already loaded and stacked field, we're going to sprinkle in some NASCAR talent. So
with the help of Donnie Wilson.
Yep. Donnie Wilson. And then he's going to have Bon Suss as his crew chief, who helped him transition to Asphalt back in 2014. So there's a little familiarity there.
Yeah. Familiarity, really good equipment, really good driver.
In the area.
Yeah. I would think that he would get acclimated very quickly, although he did not practice today. I would assume that he will get acclimated very quickly to being back in a super late model.
I think that's another instance of thank you, Joe Gibbs.
Yep.
Letting him do something else. So
Absolutely.
speaking of short track racing,
My blood's boiling.
so Matt Weaver, this is where this whole theme started here. So Matt Weaver put out a article today on the short track scene. Great source of information for your short track news. The point is that ASN is banning all engines with UARA seals in a letter to all of its engine builders. So earlier, I don't remember if it was this year or late last year, but UARA said that they came out with their own engine seal program under their name.
And they've been slowly, just recently, announcing additional engine builders that have complied with their thing. So they've been kind of slowly dropping them. Obviously, they have their compiled list, but they've been, as somebody that's going to work with your banner, it's fair that they get an announcement. So they've been kind of slowly dropping those as they go. So yeah, it's kind of appears that anybody that's got a seal associated with UARA is going to have to make a decision
Switch
whether
motors.
they switch motors if they want to run with Stars National Tour.
Which this just further divides the split that we have in super late model asphalt racing.
Yep.
Just how there's so much of a divide and nobody, and it seems like we're not working towards getting any uniformity in this.
Right. Uniformity. I mean, we're not even at this point, we're not even having the conversation of being uniform. We're having the conversation of being in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
It's one thing if the carb rules are a little different, it's Van Grohl's favorite series, the Southern Super Series versus what we have up here. It's one thing to be a little bit closer where if a guy knows that a race is coming up in a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks where he has got a little off time and he can work on his stuff and be ready to go. But some of these guys, it kind of leaves you in a little bit of a corner with really two options. Another motor and a lot of motor changes if you want to do that, because geographically, these two banners or series, whatever you want to call them, cross paths or in the
Yep.
same areas. So it leaves you in a corner. What are you going to do? You're going to change motors all the time, or are you going to have another car that's going to have, here's your Stars car, here's your UARA car.
Which I'm looking at the map right now that I shared in the group chat.
Yep.
And which, funny enough, the farthest geographically west race that they run is in Wisconsin.
Madison.
Madison, well, yeah, Madison and Slinger, if you want to
Yep.
really look at it that way.
Yep.
Geographically, those are the two farthest west races that they run. And the note here says that the fact that two regional series overlap with only two conflicting race dates don't have compatible engine programs. It's just in asinine.
I mean, it is.
Now, this is getting noticed from not just local racing, but from so this is from Bazi. I'm gonna botch his last name.
He's wicked smart. Yep.
Yes, wicked smart, especially on the technical side of things. He's a pit crew member for one of the IMSA sports cars teams. He has provided technical explanation for NASCAR in the past.
Yep.
And he even comes in and says, it seems counterproductive to have so many different rules between different series and something that could impact car counts. Dirt sanctioning bodies seem to do much better at having uniform rules, which is likely why we see huge car counts for most of those series. Pete Pistone also chimed in and said that while dirt racing flourishes, super late model pavement racing has world's short-sightedness and stubbornness, seems destined to destroy such a great and historic discipline of racing. I try not to take sides, but in my opinion, one of these two entities isn't interested in reason. So it's almost my way or the highway type of thing.
Well, it is. It is now. It is now. Or you're going to play by my rules, and it's going to cost you a lot to do so.
Yep.
And I don't. Number one, it's going to cost you that. You can. There's a couple ways you can look at it. So a few ways I've been thinking about it. Two cars, 90. I don't even want to put a number on it. We'll call it a large majority. Ain't going to happen. Two motors. Yeah, you're getting closer, but what does that mean? That means hours and hours and hours of labor of changing a motor. So
not to mention having to probably buy another motor.
Buy, lease, whatever you want to call it. And then on top of that, outside of that, okay, you want to go run, we were just talking about this before. UARA's schedule in terms of diversity is a little bit less. You want to go run Berlin for big money. What are you going to have to do? Your other option, rent a ride.
Yep. And
three very, very expensive options.
Now let's not sugarcoat this. I think it's quite honestly, it's ASA versus UARA. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yep. It 100% is.
So I point out a fact that because I looked at their schedule, UARA has got 10 races on the year, but they don't run the diversity of tracks or the different number of tracks that ASA does. ASA, all of their races are on different tracks
Correct.
in their 10 race schedule.
UARA likes to go to Cordell. UARA has a couple of races at Berlin.
Yep.
And then, well, I mean, if you even consider the Freedom Factory part of that, like it is part of they run under their
It's
banner
part of the schedule.
for the big league.
Yep. They also run there for the tune-up, the big league tune-up race.
So, and then to go on top of that, the other question becomes is, so where does this engine package and or these dynamics play into the Derby? That Bigley race was a big race right before the Derby. Does that affect their car count? Because I'm telling you what, I ain't changing a motor when you can practice at Five Flags on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm not changing a motor on Sunday morning.
Well, look at the Midwest guys. Look at how many Midwest Tour guys under that ran a ASA banner. Let's keep in mind.
Yep.
Ran Bigley, but not the Derby. In their own equipment.
They hauled just there for that race and came home.
Yep. Just for that race. So I listened to and take this what you feel like it's worth. I listened to Dave Moody on Sirius XM, the State of Short Track Racing. His is every year. He brings in various promoters, track owners, series owners from around the country. Obviously, there were two prominent ones: Ricky Brooks of the UARA and Bob Sargent of the ASA. The way that I interpreted their interviews was Ricky Brooks is definitely more of a technical aspect kind of a guy. He's your looking in the rule book and trying to work with drivers as far as rule book consistency.
Yep.
Whereas Bob Sargent is definitely more of a promotional background. He makes events big.
Yep.
So you have two different ideas as far as how to run a racing series, I feel like. But you're not focusing on the same thing. So
they're actually going in opposite directions.
correct. So some excerpts that I had from this. Some good points from both. Ricky Brooks said that a lot of guys don't build race cars themselves, which is why costs are up because now somebody else needs to build the race car.
Yep.
Guys aren't making their own tubes for chassis and putting motors together and body panels and stuff like that. They're buying rollers, for lack of a better term.
Fair. Yep.
Putting beak decals and going from there. Now, where the difference lies is Ricky wanted control of what was coming to the racetrack, referencing his engine seal package. He wanted control of what was coming to the racetrack. And he says he doesn't want to be a puppet. He wants to run the show, but it's up for discussion. And I think that was an indirect reference as far as because he said he was close to coming up with a uniformity of all super late model racing 3 years ago. What came out 3 years ago? ASA.
Who's no longer with ASA?
Yep.
Midwest.
So he's up for discussion. Now you jump to the other side of it with Bob Sargent. He said that again, he is kind of a bit new to the promotion of pavement stuff. He has a dirt promotional background, but says that pavement racing needs more organization, pavement racing needed organization, excitement, and cost containment. What he says for cost containment was main focus is engine, body, shocks, and tire cost, which is why the ABC committee, the approved body committee,
Yep.
became part of that. And he said that some sanction. So, and then what would you do to get everyone on the same page as far as sanctioning bodies be on the same page? said that Sargent has been working with Cars Tour as far as body programs and shocks and tires and stuff like that, but there were no mention of UARA or Brooks at all. So it's almost like the guys don't even want to have a conversation with each other. So if we're not even willing to pick up the phone and have a conversation with each other, what are we doing?
Yeah, what gives?
Like,
We said it before we started. Help me help you.
yeah,
I want my guys to run your guys, and when we host an event, I want your guys to come run with us. Like,
I don't know how much you read of that article too from Weaver. But Sergeant Weaver said that Sergeant Brooks had a brief conversation in January at Speedfest. Sargent said he expected a phone call from Brooks to discuss some technical conflicts, but no such phone call ever came his way. Majeski also came out and said that he's hearing rumors about a new engine package. Like they're all going to be sealed with engines with a new spec. Well, he says if you're going to force teams to build a spec motor, how many guys are actually going to build said motor? The cheapest thing is what everybody already has. And Majeski's already been outspoken about motors as it is.
correct. I.e.,
So,
not bringing his own equipment to the racetrack.
yep. So it's just, or like Bubba saying that when he has conversations with people, I want to find the exact quote here. When Bubba is having conversations with people, but Pollard basically says no one is listening.
Yep.
Or if they're listening, they're not listening to what the right things. Sure, you could shove more money into a points fund, like we saw with ASA,
Yep.
but that still doesn't help the uniformity.
No.
So it's
No,
just
it goes back. It goes back to car counts. Like we're gonna see now. We're gonna see, and we're gonna look at and see what guys are gonna run pieces of both series.
yep.
Are you gonna have guys that are gonna do both? Are you gonna have guys that are gonna do one or the other? It's yeah. I don't know. It gets interesting in a hurry because some of these races where you're hauling to Michigan to go run UARA, like even if the national tour is in the area, like okay, all right, well we're doing a hotel parking lot motor swap, or we're going to the track a day early. Let us in. We're gonna change motors to come run, like, or we're gonna unload another car, or we're gonna rent a car. Like, what? I don't know.
What are we doing?
It kind of feels like they're both kind of cornering themselves a little bit.
Pick me, or I'm going to make sure you have a tough time trying to run for me in the future.
It's what it feels like. And we talked about it a little bit with our stuff, like up here in the state of Wisconsin. All of the tracks got together. We have a unified super late model package. You can change gears and shocks and go run at any of the tracks and know you're going to
Yep.
be fine. What does that do? If I don't wreck my stuff on Friday night, hey, I'm 40 miles up the road. I might as well go run the cars together. I can leave it in the box and I can roll up to the track and put it on the stands and change gear and shocks and be ready to go.
Yep.
And bolt a couple tires on. Like, I don't know. I really sincerely do want the national touring series to thrive.
Yes.
I do. I genuinely do. But it feels like we took 2 steps backwards after ASA came out and said we were going to run the three series together, unified rules. Well, that took 1 year to fall apart.
Yep.
And now UARA, which I understand they're a different series and they kind of have their own agenda, they both do. But now we've made it 2 steps harder for a guy to cross over, per se, in terms of running each event. Or is that just
I'm just gonna
is that just
I'm
me
just gonna
thinking that?
just gonna chime in here and full disclaimer to any listeners, I have not read the article. I am not well versed in the short track scene here, but from listening, it feels like UARA is a little bit like World Outlaws on the dirt side. Like it feels like Brooks is a little bit more. He wants control, like World Outlaws. If you get, you get your 5 freebies, and then you're with us, and it's like it's either
Yep.
you're all in with us, or send or see ya.
Yep.
Which we all know in the racing world, you guys have hit on it, is not going to help grow the sport. But I don't know.
The art you don't the article takes you about 40 seconds to read. It's just a statement that literally says Sargent is getting ahead of any of the possible confusion in advance of the Stars National Tour open at New Smyrna. And they are telling its approved engine builders that it will not allow entry by any power plant with a UARA seal on it. And then they have some other stuff that goes with it, but you can read the article in 40 seconds and it's pretty black and white as to what's going on.
Well, it didn't. Let's make note. It doesn't explicitly say UARA. It's just any non-seal seal on it.
No, it literally says right here. Any power plant with a UARA seal on it.
Oh yeah, UARA. Yep.
Yeah.
I see it right there. Yep.
Well, that's maybe I
But
got it backwards. I mean, if
that's
he's calling him out saying, I don't want your engine in my series, that's
so now it's got me curious. I'm going to find out here. But it's the same thing for ASA. It's all right, you're going to play by our rules. If you're not going to play by our rules, too bad.
I love the first comment on the article is Lord help us.
Let's keep in mind here. Freddie Curie, can never pronounce that, is the head technical director for ASA.
Yep.
So just re-information on that. Which, let's see here.
Yeah. I mean, if these two series could get together, this could be awesome.
Oh, 100%.
It could be electric.
Now, is it just people need to sit down and have a conversation is the problem.
Yeah.
You need to get, it's almost one of those classics. You need to get those two guys, maybe a third party in there with a bottle of whiskey. You don't leave until you either figure it out or that bottle of whiskey's gone.
And your tech directors. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's frustrating. Because these two guys are kind of holding the keys to what could be the big show for everyone together. I mean,
Yep. Now let's keep in mind here too that we're focusing on everything from, I said Wisconsin was the most geographically western races that they run. So you're not even talking about anybody west of us, which honestly the only big pavement racing west of us is kind of hitting the California.
yep.
And you got the Cars Tour out there.
Yep.
So it's just I don't get it. Well, even
No.
then you got the Cars Tour who's different, obviously, because they run late model stocks
Yeah.
and are more under the NASCAR rule book than anything else.
Yep. And more frequently than not, if you go out there like at Kern, where Kevin Harvick has that whole deal out there, more likely than not, they're going to be running prolates than they are supers.
Supers are more their specialty racing, but
Yep,
pros are their weekly.
correct.
Yep.
So even then, like, what does it come down to? Well, you're either going to run around down on horsepower, or you're going to have to figure out a motor or rent a car. I don't know. Am I missing something here? Maybe. I don't know. Now, as frustrating as all of this is, I do think we have to say that these two programs have made great strides in helping their drivers.
Sure. Absolutely.
We can say from their standpoint, purse money and points funds and whatever it takes. You know, we talk about the national tour, we talked about their platinum program. Like, they're doing things that are obviously very positive to get cars to the track.
Yep.
Let's just say that there are positives that are going into this, because if there weren't, nobody would be racing them.
Yep.
So all of this aside, but like, we're a few, I don't want to say small pieces because this is a massive piece of it, but we're a few pieces from getting this thing locked in lockstep and just let's rip. I don't know. I don't know.
Is this one of those things where it needs to get worse in order to get better?
And maybe this is where we're at with that though. You don't want it to be that way, but it almost moderately kind of feels like that a little bit. It's like we're kind of in the thick of it right now to get it figured out long term, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't.
So circling back to the, nobody's listening comment. So Mark Rett, longtime ARCA and NASCAR crew chief and now car owner in the super late model scene, has suggested having an off-site person that doesn't have anything to do with super late model racing dyno these engines. Says that ASA has a relationship with NASCAR, and NASCAR has a mobile dyno. It'll cost some money, but let's get them in there.
Yeah.
Do we need the big man to step in and put everybody in place?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Something's got to give.
Yeah.
So, well, something will give at some point. It's just how long is it going to take?
How long is it going to take, and at what cost?
I think if you got to start somewhere, you got to start with engines, because those are by far the most expensive part of the car, and that's what really is the determining factor of somebody running or not. Tires,
Bingo.
you can figure it out. Shocks, you're either good at them or you're not. Bodies, everybody runs a different body anyways. You run a different body than what your motor plant is anyways. Your power plant
5-star.
is.
Yeah, you just dial up 5-star anyways. That's going over.
Chassis, everybody's got their guy that they know.
Correct.
It's the motor that costs that is your determining factor.
Yeah, it's just all what's between the frame rails.
Yep. And if you can figure that out, everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit. It goes back to the little bit of the divide. This is like on a bigger scale. It's the 2-barrel versus the 4-barrel.
yep.
It's like, you'd like to see a non-Southern Super Series guy win the national tour this year, but
Hell, I'd like to see a former national tour champion run the series.
right. Correct. So, yeah, I don't know. And this is all very fresh as of today. Like,
Yep.
as we're recording on Monday, this came out 3:00 today, I believe. So,
And I'm definitely a lot more calmed down than I was when I was in the group chat. Cam, I don't know how much you read of said group chat, but
I peeked in there a couple times and saw some F-bombs and some heated and blood pressure, and anytime you he can see those kind of words, things are things are not well in the racing world.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's just like you're just like, what? You just kind of sit and you're like, what now?
yep.
But I don't. I mean, I'm gonna say this, and you guys, I'm probably gonna jinx myself saying this, but is this the point where we're at the point where things start to turn around in the future? Is there only one way from here, and that's up? I don't know.
Well, and you hope that with this much conversation around the topic, that it brings it to the attention of the people at B of,
Yep.
hey, we need to seriously think about this.
Yep.
Now,
think-
given, will it be a this year type of thing? Probably not. Schedules
Nope.
are set, payments are in, programs are set, but
Yep.
it's a, hey, let's get to the halfway point of the year and let's figure it out from there.
Yep.
Let's hope we can leave the Snowball Derby with some good news.
Yep.
I think that's your cutoff. Snowball Derby.
And I think then, like, you look at, we've talked about it with the Bigley leading up to the Snowball Derby. Does the Bigley, what does their rules package compare to the Derby? Where does that put the Bigley? That the Bigley has in the last couple of years has made them a very big race.
Yep.
It's been a very, very pronounced asphalt late model race leading up to the Derby. And, we've heard the rave reviews of that event in itself. Does this deter somebody from going down there?
Yep.
I guess
You
the
could
only way
make that a big week for a guy.
we're going to find out on November 29th or whatever that Saturday is.
Yep.
We're going to find out when that entry list comes out and what cars roll out onto the racetrack. So, I don't know. Somebody like Bubba Pollard, who has been a UARA champion, committed to run national tour.
And quite honestly, if he says something about super late model racing, I should probably listen.
Correct.
Majeski and Noodleman would, well, probably Majeski because Noodleman will just fix whatever he needs to. But Majeski, he could be, let's be honest, he could be arrogant at times. But he's got some damn good points when it comes to super late model racing.
Well,
That's what he's doing.
the dude, let's not be naive. Both of these gentlemen have a massive following.
Oh, 100%.
They have a massive resume, and they were talking about individuals that can unload anywhere and win anything if they try.
Yep. And if you can get any of those two guys, you can throw an Assy in there. You can throw a Hind in there, a Butcher. If you can get any of them guys, hey, I'm going to show up here on Saturday because I'm making my way over to this one.
Of course.
Unload and race.
Yep. Of course.
Your money.
Promotion side loves that.
Yeah.
The racetrack loves that.
Yep. And we keep saying if drivers show up, fans are going to show up.
Yep.
So
it kind of goes one of two ways with that. It's your guy or the big guys.
Yep.
It's your driver that you want to see either weekly, whatever it is, if he's there, and then it's, as we always have said it, it's the guy you get to watch on TV.
Yep.
When you come to Madison, you get to see your Bubba Pollard once a year.
Butcher.
Nasty. The guys that you watch on Flow weekly, you get to see them once a year. Does that change?
I think that's what we should be striving for.
Of course.
And you can truly get back to guys making their living off of racing. Super late model racing at that.
Yep.
So.
Or getting closer to
damn close to it. Yep. So.
Yeah.
Nope, some very heated things coming out of that. Let me check. Let me go back to this real quick because Matt Weaver also got interviewed. I just want to see if he had any good points. Weaver says there's honestly no concrete answer as far as to what the state of short track racing is. He says the strength is that we could watch racing around the country via streaming, which I think is a big plus. But
Yep.
tracks keep shutting down. So, and he says track owners and promoters need to figure out a way to use their facility for more than just racing. Concerts, car meets.
You name it. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. So, the only real thing he kind of said was that the NASCAR Weekly Series, the Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, is strong, but has some complications, especially when it comes to determine champions and divisions. That's more of just an internal thing for them. But NASCAR involvement in grassroots racing has been more involved in the past 15 years than it has been since. So
Yeah. I don't know. That's my last statement on this is I don't know.
yeah, it's just frustrating. So,
It is.
Cam, you got any final thoughts here before we move on?
No, I was gonna say, it sounds like everything starts with the engine, and it feels like that. I mean, it feels like that's where we're at. And like you said, when issues like this get brought to light, hopefully, like you said, this is rock bottom. Now that this has been brought to light, and there are so many people talking about it, more people are going to continue to voice their opinions, and hopefully, this is rock bottom, and this brings about change. So, again, not to beat a dead horse, you guys know what better than I do, but let's help each other out. Let's help the sport of short track racing. Let's help it grow. Let's not make our lives twice as hard on each other.
We're gonna throw out a phrase here real quick, and this is maybe where we lose our PG-13 rating. FFIO. Fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to some happier things here. I want to touch on races that are coming up this week before we dive into the big one here a little bit more. So World Series of Asphalt, they continue on throughout the rest of the week at New Smyrna, on and off as far as what super lates are going to be racing. But you got the Clyde Hart Memorial racing tomorrow. That's going to be the big super late model race there. You also got the USAC Anzoil Sprint Cars in their winter dirt games. They're starting at Volusia tonight. They'll race tomorrow. They'll also race at Ocala the rest of the week. World Outlaw late models will also be at Volusia on the later half of the week. The dirt car late models will be running a portion of the week as they continue on the dirt Gator Nationals there. You can also find more scheduling updates on our socials as we hope to post schedules weekly, even though I did have a little boo-boo or screw up on that. But
It
we'll
happens.
get past that.
Sick graphic nonetheless.
Hey, we're
Yep.
working out the bugs on these new things. It happens.
Correct. But this leads up ultimately to the NASCAR weekend at Daytona. The trucks, well, actually, it starts with qualifying on Wednesday for the Cup Series, where you'll lock in the front row and 2 open cars, which will lead up to the duels on Thursday night. You'll have the truck race on Friday, Xfinity and ARC on Saturday, and of course, the big one, the Daytona 500 on Sunday. So let's talk a little bit about that a little bit more. I'll let you guys kind of pick off where you want to pick off.
My word for Sunday. Well, I guess my word for the whole weekend. Expect the unexpected.
It's 3 words, but
Okay, unpredictability. Is that better?
that works.
Unpredictability. And I say unpredictability is so last year yeah, we rode around like all race trying to save fuel and no one was really racing and they just rode too wide.
It wasn't as bad as the year before, but there was bits of it.
Yup. It was a little more tame.
Yep.
I don't know if do we believe that continues or is there going to be a little more pushing and shoving?
No, no
You're saying
pushing and shoving.
you're
You
saying
think it's gonna be
status
the same?
right to the end.
Feel, feel saving. Yep. Feel saving for 85 or 90% of the race. And then with about 15 to go, 20 to go, guys are going to start going for it.
Or when you get to like 4, 3 to go in the stages.
Correct. And with the sole fact of there's going to be too many guys that are saving fuel that it doesn't matter if you want to be the one to go. You're going to be screwed because so many guys are going to be saving fuel, and it's going to be like even if you don't want to, you don't have a choice because 26 guys around you are saving fuel running 75% throttle.
Now, then I
Which
come in and say, listening to or watching last year's race, there were a couple guys, not a lot, but there were a couple guys that were up in the front of the field that were pushing the issue as far as running full throttle and making guys burn fuel to run on their strategy.
more of that.
So,
I'm going to pose a question for you, and I think I have a feeling of how you're going to answer this one. Obviously, we had the Martinsville debacle last year
yep.
with the whole manufacturer manipulation.
Favorite race of the year.
Does that change the way the Daytona's run?
No, because I still feel like you want to pit with a group of people. You want to pit with a group of people, especially on green flag rounds.
Okay.
So you're going to figure it
And-
out to that. Outside of that, I think it's every man for themselves. The only friend you have is up on the spotter stand.
And I think this is a slightly different type of manufacturing. You know, this is I guess, you know, like
Yes, yeah.
this is not manipulation. This is teamwork. You know, when each manufacturer is going to say, hey, you know, you can't you can't manipulate this, but every manufacturer is going to say, hey, when you get a shot, get to the bottom. There's 6 Chevys that are all lined up on the bottom. And in 10 laps, we're looking, those 6 Chevys are going to pit. And so find your way to the bottom. That I feel like it's more teamwork and strategy as opposed to manipulation. But yeah,
And
at the end of the day, you know, option 1 is going to be pit with your manufacturer. Then option 2 is going to be, if you're not with your manufacturer, with the biggest group of cars you can, because the worst thing that can happen is you come down pit road and you get a group of 3
or by yourself.
or by yourself.
Yep. And obviously, at Daytona last year in the summer race, obviously Parker Retzloff was in discussions as far as not pushing a Chevy to the win when he had the opportunity to do that in a Chevy, which is still asinine, in my opinion. He was setting himself for his best finish or for the win.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We already lost the PG, but he got, you know what?
Yep.
Screwed.
Yep.
To say the least. For going for a life-changing and career-changing win. Whatever.
Yep. So run down some facts here. So we have 45 cars officially on the entry list. 4 or 5 cars will not make this race depending on what Castroneves does in qualifying and or the duels. So Castroneves is guaranteed a spot in the race. It's just a matter of how he gets himself into the race.
Which is also kind of crazy that we're talking about Castroneves and not Jimmy.
Yep.
Like Jimmy could very well go home.
100%. So could Truex.
That's kind of crazy.
Yep. So, the way that works is, so obviously we'll lock the front row of the Daytona 500 on Wednesday via qualifying.
Yeah.
we will find out what 2 open cars will lock themselves in the 500 on qualifying night as well. But the dual races will be just as important. If neither of those 2 fast cars win the duels, it'll be just whoever wins the duels. But if those 2 cars, the 2 fastest cars from qualifying, win the duels, the next 2 fastest cars from qualifying on Wednesday will lock themselves in
Yep.
based on finishing position.
Correct.
So let me just, in layman's terms for the dumb people out there, we're locking 2 open cars in on qualifying time, correct?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then isn't it for each duel we're locking in if that qualifying car that was those 2 fast qualifying cars, if they weren't the highest finisher in the duel,
Yep.
then the highest
Yes,
the highest open car in the duel
locks themselves in.
locks themselves in.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I'm tracking.
Yep.
We're locking 2 in. If those 2 aren't the highest finishers in the duel, the highest finisher gets in. If those 2 that lock themselves in are the highest finishers in the duels, then it goes to the qualifying time.
It's the next 2 fastest cars from qualifying.
All right.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that I should know this. Is that a 62 car?
Yep.
Yes, that is an open car.
Who's
Yep.
running that?
I believe it was Alfredo.
Yep. Yeah. Alfredo.
So, all right, let's run it down here. Your open cars: Corey LaJoy for Rick Ruhr Racing, Justin Allgaier in the Junior Motorsports car, JJ Yelly for NY Racing, Martin Truex in the Tricon Garage car, Anthony Alfredo for Beard Motorsports, Chandler Smith for MBM Motorsports, BJ McLeod in the Live Fast Motorsports car, Jimmy Johnson for Legacy, and Elio Castroneves for Trackhouse. Those are your open cars.
We are sending some hammers home.
So
Yeah. Just think, at one point, Pastrana made this race.
on time.
That'll be-
Too.
That'll be Cletus McFarland in 2026.
Who was the last couple names that you threw out there? Give me the last couple.
So Castroneves, Johnson, McLeod.
Oh, BJ. Yeah, good to have him back at the track.
Chandler Smith, Alfredo. That's kind of your bottom half there.
BJ's just a one-man band. He just marches to the beat of his own drum.
know.
And you know what? I love it.
He actually had a decent car in one of the last years. In one of the duels, he actually ran well. And I forget what year it was that he was going for it and it didn't pan out, but
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pushing the fuel strategy game.
BJ. He's always got that hat on, locked on backwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Some other notes. Some other notes here. Hendrick Motorsports' reign of front row starts was snapped last year after a couple Fords took that from them. So they're looking to get their magic back on qualifying day. Let's also remember that there will be no webbed gloves this year.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We
We should have known that was the start of something for him last year.
Couple other things that I kind of took of note from last year's race. 3 of the last 5, including last year's 500, 3 of the last 5 races have gone into overtime. And getting hooked in the right rear into the wall really hurts.
Well,
So, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I said, the word of the day is unpredictability.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that Blaney mid-race interview. Cussing because he got right reared again.
I hope not.
It's gonna be, and he always is pissed. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing out there. Just get ran over, right reared, ends our effing day. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Multi-familiar position for him. So let's start big scope. What manufacturer do you think wins this big dog?
Ford.
Ford.
Sounds like
No,
you. Oh, he's waffling.
I'm
Somebody's
unsure.
Yeah, somebody's waffling.
well, we haven't made race picks yet.
Correct. You're kind of showing your hand here, bud.
Yeah.
Chevy won it last year.
So what are you
Just kind of
saying?
Chevy's won it 2 years in a row, actually,
Is it
because it
is there
was
a pattern
Stenhouse the
every
year
2 years?
Yup.
Stenhouse,
And Byron won it last year.
Yep.
Stenhouse, Byron. 2022 was Cindric, and then McDowell, 2 Fords.
And then two Annie Hamlin and 2 Toyotas. So you've gone back. You've had back to backs. So theoretically, we should have a new manufacturer this year. If we're going off of
2
history.
Toyotas, 2 Fords, 2 Chevys. So it
Here's
should be a Toyota.
here's a question for you. I'm gonna really rack your brains with this one.
Oh, God.
Do we have a non-playoff driver from last year lock themselves into the playoffs in the 500?
No. A playoff
Okay.
driver from last year will win this race.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. I'm not sold.
We got to remember, Logano got in kind of on a last spite there last year.
Well, no, he won a race to get in.
Yeah. 16th going in.
Jeez, dude. I love scrolling through the point standings and seeing that old 3, Austin Dillon. It'll be good to see him back at the track. Um,
That day still haunts Richard Childress.
yeah, cost him $3 million.
Rack 'em.
Yep. So here's what I'm gonna say. I would say I'm 60-40.
Okay.
60-40 playoff driver, 40% chance non-playoff driver. Just because I mean there were some good cars that were Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, and then you can throw in the wild cards, Spinhouse, who's good at a speedway.
Gibbs.
Yeah.
Reese, if he can exercise his demons again. Um, I would lean towards a playoff driver from last year wins it, but again, you're saying your word for the weekend is unpredictability. We're looking at some good drivers, McDowell, Gillen. I mean, those guys were.
All
I
right.
don't know.
I'm gonna
This race is going to be. I don't know.
All right, so I'm gonna bring up one more thing, and then we're gonna make race picks.
Okay, give me 30 seconds.
All right.
Oh, yeah, you got to give them 30 seconds to look up 2024 Daytona 500 results.
All right. So this is from CBS
And who's
Sports.
in the top 5? That'll be a good spot to start.
Actually, let me find a different one here.
Getting a live look at Kellen's research. Oh, shit.
Excuse me. All right, I'm trying to find a good.
Dude, Eric Jones has got to do something this year.
All
Yeah.
right. Here we go. So this is courtesy, or this is from DraftKings.
Oh boy.
A couple of favorites here. This one really surprised me, actually. Your Daytona 500 favorites right now via DraftKings are Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, and Denny Hamlin. Then it goes Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski.
Okay, I got my pick.
Some others in there: Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chris Buescher, Chris Bell.
All right, I'm good.
All right.
I actually had this thought earlier today, but you just reminded me of it. So I'll go ahead and make my race
Well,
pick.
I've got two picks here in mind. So,
I
first
get
off, before we
first.
make picks, are we doing two picks or not?
I'll do two.
Cam? Big event, might as well.
All right.
All right. So we're doing two picks. I'm assuming we're sticking with Snake Draft.
Yeah, so looking at it, and as you're getting that set up for us, I got the first round set up. Coming off of the clash in terms of our race pick standings, Cam is currently the leader at 72. Van Grohl is in second at 46, and I am the caboose at 44.
Which is
So
why the order is what it is.
a lot of opportunity to make some headway for me. I'm gonna go ahead. It's supposed to snow on Wednesday. Give me the guy that pushes the hell out of everyone, Brad K.
Ooh, you took one of mine away.
Old boy's got nerves of steel. I'll take Brad K.
Well, you're gonna leave the door open for me then.
Go ahead.
Give me Blaney. Give me the low hanging fruit.
Damn,
Cam, you get two in a row here.
yeah, back to backers here.
All right.
That RCR
First,
sounded good.
I know. Well, first one, I'm gonna go old Denny Hamlin.
Okay.
Just feel like he can run a smart race at these super speedways. And then who was the other one that I was gonna queue up? Somebody like Daryl comes to mind.
This pro late mopper is I know Smyrna's getting good too. There's 13 to go.
Sorry. Don't do that, Cameron. Just don't screw it up. Just play it safe. All right. He's bad fast every year qualifying. He's close to winning it last year. Actually, you could argue he got screwed. Give me the 48, Alex Bowman.
That's not a bad pick. I could respect that. I could honestly respect that.
You got screwed last year. Let's be real.
Oh, man.
A lot of good options out there for you. Priest, Gillen, Jimmy.
See,
Dinger.
so now here, yeah. So here's the thing. I
Ware.
already got the race winner picked in Blaney. So now I'm just going
LaJoy.
for points. Since Blaney's going to win it all. So I'm going
Dude,
for
I
points.
cannot wait until he's out on lap 4.
Shit. Give me
Briscoe,
Byron.
Kyle Busch.
William Byron. Take
Okay.
him as my second pick.
Back to backer, huh?
I no, because Blaney's going to win it.
Got it.
So Byron's going to be my points guy.
Suarez, Custer, Haley,
Cam, Kellen, that's up to you now.
BJ, Spinhouse, Jones, Gregson, Reddick.
Hey, you know Castro Neves is going to be locked in.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay in the Ford camp. Give me Cindric.
Wow, you're Jesus. It's looking to stay down there at the bottom of the leaderboard.
He can plate race.
He can plate race, 100%.
If him and Brad Kagan hooked up, look out.
Yikes. So, all right. Any final thoughts here, fellas, on the Daytona 500?
Nope. It'll be the most exhilarating 3 hours of the afternoon, so you won't be able to sit in your seat. So, as my yearly tradition always goes, I always stand and take my hat off for the national anthem.
Attaboy.
Commences racing season. So,
I'll be going home, watch the race with the grandparents this year.
thanks. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
All right. Cam,
Oh,
any final?
I do have one final thought. I will post when the episode goes out. I will put the link to the fantasy league in the description of the video.
Yep. Keep an eye on that. We could actually start setting lineups tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
The league actually opens up tomorrow.
Yeah, I did see we had a one feller join us, which is kind of cool.
Yep. So if anybody else wants to join, it's free to join. There's
Free
only
to
bragging
join.
rights on the line.
Free to join, free to play.
Yep.
You can do it on the app on your phone. You can do it on your computer. You can do it however you can get to the NASCAR website. All you can do is create an account, log in, click the little fantasy thing, and then click our link, and it'll get you right there.
Or if you're looking it up the hard way, Three Stones Pit Crew Fantasy is the name of the league.
Yep.
It's like I said, free to join. There's no password or anything. Just click join and you're in.
Yep. Open to the public.
Yep. So, all right.
Yeah.
Cam, any other thoughts?
Oh, it's that time of year. Exciting. Getting just ready for the grueling 38 weeks. Strategies already turning. It is. I know 36 races, but
No, I was gonna say 37 for Kellen since he's got the Can't Watch network.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
gonna be fun. I'm excited. Again, this is the biggest race of the year, so well, you could argue, or one of the biggest events for our season. So,
Yep.
First one of the year, and it's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, so be sure to tune in for that. That'll be on Fox on Sunday. As we always say though, and I always love to say, get out to your local short tracks. Season schedules are out. They're going to be going here before you know it. And again, you always hear in the state of the short track racing, more tracks closing than opening up. So we want to keep them going. Talk to your tracks too. What do you want to see? What kind of improvements can they make? What can they do to make their facilities better?
Yep.
So you can be there more often as well. So support your short tracks, reach out to your short tracks. Obviously hit the like, comment, subscribe on our socials and on YouTube. You'll get that notification whenever we post something. Comment as well. We're always looking for feedback and looking to have a discussion, especially, this one we're talking about short tracks, the state of short track racing. And obviously always be on the lookout for episodes as well. We try to post every Tuesday with different topics. As we get into the year, it'll be more race recaps, but we're excited for the year that's ahead. So be sure to tune in. We'll see you all next week on next week's episode of the Tuesday Track Talk.